Well, Tiger Brands today reported a 4% fall in full-year profit, hit by losses at its recently acquired Nigerian business. Including losses from Dangote flour mills, HEPS fell by 3.8%, but excluding losses from this business, HEPS would have increased by 5.4%. Earlier, Chief Executive Peter Matlare told us about the operational challenges in the Nigerian market.
The market is in general oversupply, and we certainly realized that we have to improve the quality of what we were producing for a whole host of reasons, and importantly we had to make sure that we continued to sell into the right markets. Now, the bulk of the flour that we sold goes into the north, and as you'll know, the north has had some challenges in one respect in terms of the security circumstances there. We don't use that as an excuse. We bear some responsibility, but quite clearly an area where we saw a contraction in our ability to sell. Secondly, one of the things we did when we took over the business was we moved most of our sales to cash sales as opposed to credit sales. I mean, we've modified that policy since then, but the reason was we wanted to make sure we could control our debtors a lot better than we had a grip on at the time, and to minimize our bad debt write-offs or the provisions that we've had to take. And so that certainly impacted our ability to trade in there. And then thirdly, our service levels were not what they needed to be. So our customers were waiting longer for the product that they expected than they should have, and we've improved along all of those vectors.
So of course it is going to be a learning process, and it is going to take time. How long do you think it will take to return to profitability in Nigeria for the business?
Look, we need to take this business to profitability within the next 12 months. I'd say 12 to 18 months. Being reasonably conservative, but here's our reality. We've said it takes 2 to 3 years for us to get a business to operate in the manner that Tiger likes to operate its businesses. In Nigeria in particular, because we have lots to learn and we're also guided by our shareholder partner, I'm hoping it takes shorter than that.
There were also 2 other problem areas, mainly here in South Africa. Looking at the grain side of the business, I mean, operating income was down there 5.7%, but you talk about a better second half of the year where volume started to improve. So what is the plan when it comes to this part of the business? I mean, what type of pricing strategy have you embarked on? And are you still comfortable with this business being half of the overall business's earnings?
Yeah, look, we've got great brands in this business, and quite clearly the one business in there, which is really our flour business, which is the number 3 brand, has taken some strain. When you're the number 3 player in a market that is very price conscious, and if your competitors who are bigger players in that market decide not to take price increases, you certainly feel that lag, or your ability to push price because of cost push. I mean, cost push in those areas is something in the order of 26% in this last year, and we've not fully cost recovered all of that. So a challenging category as a whole. But you know, Sam, it's important for us to also take a step back. As the South Africa consumer remains under pressure, one of the things that the retailers have done is they've looked at the carbohydrate category, sort of center of plate carbohydrate, bread, maize, rice, etc. And they've, I think, in a very clear way decided this is going to be an area where they look to drive feet through door, so effectively subsidize what happens in terms of that carbohydrate, those carbohydrate categories. Loss leader, absolutely. Now what that does is category profitability comes down, margins come under pressure. We all feel it. It's not peculiar to Tiger. So our ability to push price but hold volumes will always be a judicious blend that we need to get through.
What type of manufacturing capacity is there in South Africa? Because an interesting comment coming through yesterday saying that the supermarkets don't have that back-end capacity to really be able to compete to the extent that many would believe when it comes to creating their own in-store, you know, supermarket brands. Is there strong capacity to help them continue to grow? And that, of course, will be...
So in this volume-constrained environment, you have, I suppose, 3 sources. The large manufacturers like ourselves and our immediate competitors. Then you've got the kind of medium-sized, independent, third-party house brand producers who have lower margin expectations, and they produce significantly in the house brand arena. And sometimes you get a combination of large manufacturers like ourselves doing both house brands and our own brands. And then you have the import opportunity. Now, clearly, when the currency goes out the way it has, the ability to import diminishes, and clearly when the currency is stronger, it kind of expands. And quite clearly what our customers have done, the retailers have done, is that they've really begun to hone their supply chain and to not just buy kind of on an ad hoc basis, their ability to look to buy at the lowest possible price for at least 60% of their calendar year, or for their 6% of their requirements, is a major factor that they've driven. Hence, they've got these large DCs. So the capacity exists domestically to enable house brands up to a certain level, I think, and that